Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is going to be review for Witches of East End Season 2, Episode 3. This episode was called The Old Man and the Key. And wow, this episode was amazing. We got a lot of clues in this episode, a lot of very interesting things in this episode, and I really love this episode. One of the things I loved about this episode, this was by far the best episode of the season, by the way, and probably the entire series as well. And one of the things I loved about this episode was the flashbacks. I did not expect to see all of those flashbacks in this episode. I thought that was definitely very, very interesting. Definitely one of my favorite parts of the episode were those flashbacks, and I was a huge fan of those flashbacks. Really I was. I thought the flashbacks were probably one of the coolest parts of the episodes, definitely. I thought the flashbacks were really awesome, and I really enjoyed that about the episode. So yeah, let's just get to the episode, because overall I really enjoyed it. So basically, we see Joanna, she's staring at her son, Frederick, and she has a flashback to the moment when they all came through the portal. And Joanna, if you remember, they did not remember what happened when they came back from the portal. So now is our chance to finally figure out what happened when they came back. Now, she has a flashback to the moment when they all came through and when Joanna goes to place a blanket on Frederick, she sees the king symbol branded on his chest. And soon, when he returns home, when he already is quick to believe that, Frederick is up to something, she thinks that this should be proof enough for Joanna that Frederick isn't all that he says he is. And Wendy says that being branded with the king symbol illustrates the highest form of loyalty to the king, who is, of course, their father, Victor. And Wendy reveals that being branded with this symbol means that Frederick is spiritually bound to the king. Now, Joanna really wants to see the best in her son, and she keeps taking his side and wants Wendy to hold off judgment, as they don't know what circumstance Frederick took the oath from. Perhaps he was forced. And, the biggest thing here is that, Wendy, they really want to, she really wants to prove that Frederick is up to something bad. And Wendy also says that she actually got rid of the earring that Frederick gave her because she thought he spelled it. And Joanna wants to, see the best in her son, but she is beginning, to have doubts about him. Especially with the recent murders in town. Joanna, says they need to make sure he isn't responsible for the murders. So, they need to be smart about it, and Wendy says that she knows how they can get all the information they need without asking him anything at all. So Wendy then visits the morgue, and she visits the corpse of Dr. Foster, because as you know, Dr. Foster whispered something very weird the last time we met him. And, the last time we met him, he said something very, very strange, and we don't know what it was about or whatever, but he said something very, very strange. We don't know what it was about, but he awakens, and his corpse is, briefly in an effort to obtain answers. He doesn't tell her who murdered him. Instead, he says that something bad is coming. And when he then finds the mark of the king carved into his chest, takes a picture of it, with her phone, and, that was definitely very interesting. So, Joanna is preparing dinner, and she receives a text from Wendy, and Frederick comes home, and she begins to now question Frederick, about their home. And Frederick tells her that his grandfather, who is Joanna's father, has built a cult around himself, and is now worshipped like a god. So he tries to tell her again that he's changed, that he didn't know what he was doing back then, and he goes to take a shower. And while this happens, Joanna then has another flashback to the time he betrayed them all, because if you remember, that's the whole reason why Wendy doesn't trust him, because he betrayed them in the past. So Wendy prepares a spell to show her and Joanna where Frederick's been going, and Frederick told Joanna that he's going to the bent elbow. However, the tracking spell Wendy prepares reveals that Frederick stole a knife from the kitchen. So that's really weird. So Joanna and Wendy walk through the woods following Frederick's path, because, they pretty much don't trust him right now. And Wendy and Joanna then find the real then, this is really weird. They find the real Frederick in the forest. He's conducting a ritual in Old Norse, and he quickly disappears after he hears a rustle in the woods. So, now we pretty much know that this Frederick is not the real Frederick. He's not really Frederick. So, Frederick returns home, and Wendy and Joanna are sitting at the table. They demand to know why Frederick was in the forest, and, the real Frederick. They demand to know why Frederick was in the forest conducting a blood ritual, and Frederick continues putting on his act, says he was simply trying to erase the king's mark from his chest, but he also denies that he's the person behind the murders. So, Wendy then storms off. She can't believe Joanna's being so close-minded, because she still does not trust him. Now, Joanna says that she needs to tell Frederick something about that night he betrayed them all. And we get a very big flashback, because we see Joanna's father come through the portal that they used to escape from, and Wendy shouts, "Just kill us already," but the king says that death is far too forgiving a punishment. This is how they all obtain their curses. Now, I thought this was huge, because if you remember, they all have these curses. We don't know how they have them, but they all have these curses, and this was how they got the curses, and I was just like, holy shit, this is awesome. Now, before the king ventured back into the portal, back to his world, Joanna cut off his hand, and with it came the golden snake key that was used to break open the portal. So we see Joanna try to save Frederick from following his grandfather, but she ultimately lets go. So, yeah. So then in the present, Joanna tells Frederick that it was all her fault, that she was the one who let go, and Frederick says she didn't let go, and back then he wanted to return with him. And Joanna breaks down and says that she's sorry for the things he's been through alone, with nobody to love him. And I just thought that was definitely a very good scene, because it kind of shows that maybe Frederick is just an innocent guy, and it really, Joanna feels bad, because, no one really loves Frederick right now, and she really wants to love him now, so I felt bad for that. However, this next scene might prove that otherwise, because Victor returns home, and he hears something on the porch, and he goes to check it out. And as he returns, something comes from him. We don't know where it went or whatever, but, yeah, that was definitely very strange. So Joanna then walks into the living room to find Frederick sleeping on the couch. She calls Victor to see where he is, and we see Victor wrapped, hanging in chains while dripping with blood. Do I think they killed Victor? Yes, I'm pretty sure they did kill Victor, because he really doesn't have that big of a part in the show anymore. And honestly, that was a perfect way to end the episode, because now Joanna's suspicions are back. She's now suspicious of her son again, and it's definitely going to get interesting there. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens after that. So yeah, I really enjoyed the main plot in this episode. Let's get to the subplot in this episode. Basically, as we know, Ingrid is leaving, Freya is, kind of as, Freya and Ingrid. Now, Freya's, as we know, is preparing to go find KIllian, and she and Ingrid are talking about Dash, and how his current situation is dangerous for everyone, and before she leaves, Ingrid and Freya stumble upon this mysterious door, and Joanna says that the door is just that, a door. It's just a door. So it's nothing mysterious, it's nothing haunted, it's just a door. However, she's being very strange about it, because they don't know what's going on. She's being very strange about it. So, yeah, we'll get to more of it when we get to Freya's plot, but Dash continues to struggle with his subconscious, visions of KIllian. As we know, he keeps thinking that his brother is dead, so he's having visions of KIllian still. Now, here's the thing with having these visions of KIllian. KIllian is telling him to get mad. His visions of KIllian, he is telling him to get mad at, he's telling him to get mad at his blackmailer, because, he's kind of sick of his blackmailer calling him constantly, and, the vision of KIllian tells him, well, if you're so mad at him, then just put your foot down and say, I don't want this anymore. So, that's what he decides to do. He decides to, go to, try to call his blackmailer. He thinks he actually found the identity of the person blackmailing him, and, the version of KIllian tells him to go kill him. So that was definitely very interesting. So, basically, then what happens is, that was definitely, as I said, that was definitely very interesting. So yeah, Dash then finds this red car, and he blows it up. He listens to his brother's advice. He blows it up with his magic, and he calls him on the phone, tells the man on the other end that if he ever tried to contact him again, that will be his last. And that was awesome right there. I was like, oh my god, that was awesome. That really was awesome. So Ingrid goes to visit Dash, and she tries to tell him that she thinks the murders were committed by someone like us. The big thing is that, as we know, Ingrid, Dash is still finding out stuff about Ingrid. And was it me, or did Ingrid and Dash have a lot of chemistry in this episode? I really don't know. For some reason, I really feel like Ingrid and Dash are going to get together. I really do. Now, before she can finish her explanation, though, Dash receives a text from his blackmailer, and his blackmailer is upstairs. Dash goes up to see him. The man threatens him, wants more money, and Ingrid comes upstairs to see what's going on. The man then pulls out a gun. Dash knocks the gun out of the man's hand, goes totally crazy on him, and he kills him. And, his blackmailer's dead, and Ingrid is, really upset. She's like, why the hell did you just do that? Because, that was his blackmailer. She doesn't want him to kill his blackmailer, obviously. So Ingrid finally tells Dash the truth, that he is a warlock, and that she can help him get his powers under control. But they're not sure what they're gonna do with the body of the man he accidentally killed. They don't know what to do with it because, he's dead. So, it's gonna be interesting to see if Ingrid can actually help him with that. I was interested in seeing, what was gonna happen after that. And, basically, Dash then disposes of the body, and Ingrid assists him, and Dash hurls the body over the cliff, and back in the car, Ingrid has a glass jar with a small doll submerged in water, and she tells Dash that as long as the doll stays submerged, nobody will ever locate the body, and Dash appreciates that she's been honest with him. The thing is that will the doll stay submerged? Because I have a feeling eventually someone is going to become suspicious of the body. We'll have to see what happens there, but it's definitely going to get interesting to see, what ends up happening there. Definitely. That was definitely very, very interesting, and I really loved Ingrid and Dash's plot. Now let's go to Freya. Freya, of course, is very, fixated on finding KIllian. She really wants to find it. So remember the mysterious door I talked about? Freya's cab then arrives, and before she walks out the door, Joanna places the necklace around Freya's neck and says a spell of protection. May she find the one she seeks. So, yeah, that was definitely very interesting. So, basically, Freya then arrives at, KIllian's hotel room, and Eva answers the door. Eva, of course, KIllian arrives soon, and this was very, very sad, because we actually find out that Eva is now his wife. That was big. I didn't expect hearing that. I thought that was definitely a good twist, that she was, his wife. I thought that was a pretty good twist, in my opinion. I enjoyed that twist, definitely. I thought that was a very good twist. That's one of the things I really liked about the episode, was that twist. So, Freya then decides... So, Freya's very shocked by this, but she, decides... The main reason she's there because she wants to ask KIllian what really happened to him after he left East End. And we basically remember what happens. He doesn't remember. But he does remember Eva nursing him back to health. And Freya's having a hard time seeing KIllian with Eva, because he's very affectionate with her. They're getting very close, and she doesn't like seeing it. So Freya tells KIllian that she and Dash are no longer together, and Freya also tells him that his mother is dead, and that she thought her magic might return to East End to be with his brother. So, her magic returned to Dash and KIllian has it as well. And basically, this is how Freya is convincing him to go back home to East End. So, Eva tries to gain Freya's trust. She doesn't know if she can trust her, though, because she doesn't really know Freya and things like that. I thought that was definitely a very interesting scene right there. And eventually, though, Dash does actually track down, Dash actually does find Freya, and he reveals he thinks he's found the one with Eva. That's interesting. I thought that was interesting. And KIllian then returns home and reunites with Dash. So, KIllian and Dash have reunited, and it's gonna be interesting to see what happens now, because, as we know, Dash kept seeing those visions of KIllian. Meanwhile, KIllian doesn't know what happened, so I'm still pretty sure that his memory was erased, even though he remembers Freya. How does he remember Freya and he doesn't remember anything else? That's what I'm trying to remember. That's what I'm trying to think. I want to know what's going on here. But all in all, this episode was amazing. I absolutely loved it. I thought this was a great episode. A lot of stuff I'm really wondering about. One of the things I'm wondering about, is Frederick responsible for these murders? Now, Ingrid and Dash said, said to Dash, somebody like us is, casting these murders. That's all she said to him. So, does that mean it could be Frederick? I think it could be. I think definitely Frederick could be responsible for this. It would make sense if he was responsible for this. I definitely think he could be responsible for this. We'll have to see what ends up happening. But, in my opinion, yes, I do think he is probably responsible for this. I just have this feeling that he is. We'll have to see what happens there. Now, as far as Victor goes, I don't think they're going to kill him off. However, I don't know what else they're going to do with Victor's character at this point. I don't know if he's going to live, if he's going to die. I really don't know what's going to happen with Victor. I can't really tell you guys what I think is going to happen with Victor, because I don't think a lot of us do know what's going to happen with him. He's pretty much an MIA. He's pretty much just a I don't know character right now. I don't know what's going to happen with him, really. As far as Ingrid and Dash go, I saw a lot of chemistry from them this episode. I don't know what it was, but I really would like in the future to see Ingrid and Dash together. I like seeing them together, and I kind of like seeing them together. So, now as far as the doll goes, is that doll going to stay submerged? I feel like something is going to happen with that doll because, Ingrid said that doll needs to stay submerged. Nobody will find out about anything. However, I feel the doll is going to get submerged, and something's going to happen there. We'll have to see what happens there. Now let's talk about the visions of KIllian and Dash. Dash was seeing KIllian, now he knows his brother's alive. I don't know what's going to happen here. I feel that Dash is going to get too absorbed in power, and eventually it's going to take over him, and he's going to become his mother. I feel like that's going to happen. I'm also thinking possibly Dash could be responsible for these murders. He could be. Because, he's so full of power, he doesn't even know he had these powers. He didn't know he was a warlock. So it definitely was very interesting. I was glad that somebody finally told him he was a warlock, because, it's kind of annoying that nobody told him. Definitely, though, this was a fantastic episode. I really did love it. Also, what's going to happen with KIllian? Do you think he's going to break up with Eva, go back to Freya, or, because I really want Freya and KIllian together. Now we have a new love triangle, though, with Freya, KIllian, and Eva, so we'll have to see what happens there with the three of them. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens in the next episode. But that's it for my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next video, which will be my review for True Blood. So I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.